I'm Louise Freckleton, and together with my husband David Bray, we run Highfield Farm and Woodland, which is near the Snowy Mountains. We've been here for 8.5 years. We had been living in Marrickville in Sydney, but we've always wanted to live in the bush, and we finally got here. We used to come bushwalking down in Kosciuszko very, very often as we could, and we just thought around Adelong and Chim it was really beautiful. We bought this place because 2/3 of it is under a conservation covenant protecting critically endangered habitat, but 1/3 of it had been grazed before we came. We decided to get some sheep of our own, and it's gone from there. We're just walking through the paddock early in the morning just to check on any new lambs that have been born. The dogs often alert us too to anything that's going on, so they'll often show us the newborns.
Yeah, so the dogs have just gone up the slope here to check on. There's some ewes with quite small lambs up there. They're a little bit nervous of the dogs, but the dogs are just checking to see if there's any new lambs.
That looks like a newborn there. So we raise grass-fed Dorper lamb. So Dorpers are a meat-only breed. We raise them entirely on native grass pasture. We use low-stress stock handling with the animals so that they have the calmest possible life. Our general aim for our lamb business was always to grow really beautiful lamb with as low food miles and low impact on the land as possible. And that includes selling our lamb as locally as possible. There's so much food created in this area, but it disappears up the highway. It goes to Sydney and Melbourne and Canberra, and local people don't get to eat local food. We sell everything locally. An important part of that is being part of a local cooperative of makers and producers in Tumut called Local at Lemont's. We sell a lot of our lamb through this co-op. This is our chook caravan. As you can see, it's a real caravan, a converted caravan. We took the floor out of the bottom and made nesting boxes from the floor. We quite deliberately keep mixed breeds that don't necessarily lay as often, but have longer lives and are fantastic chooks. It also just looks nice in the paddock when you've got different varieties. Initially, our goal was really to protect the critically endangered habitat that we have here, the box gum grassy woodland. But very quickly, the aim also moved to looking at our farming land and seeing how we could incorporate wildlife back into our farmland. So when we came here, this area around here was one paddock, and we've subsequently divided it up into 6 paddocks and an area that protects the Carrick's sedgelands. What that allows us to do is control the grazing through the valley. We're able to divide it up and rotate the sheep through the paddock to control the grazing, to save grass and to eat grass at different times so that there's always something growing in this valley. When we got here, there was a very old ruined hut on the property. As soon as we got here, we knew we wanted to build some accommodation on the property that honoured the original hut. So we've built a little place called Kestrel Nest, and it's made of tin and timber. The floorboards and the rafters and the kitchen and the bunks have all been made out of timber that was grown and milled on the property. It's offline and off-grid. It's really cosy and warm, and yet again its impact on the land is minimal. So we're hoping that people will come and explore our conservation area and learn a little bit about how we farm here by staying at the hut. An inevitable part of living on the land is dealing with everything that nature throws at you. Well, we had 3 years of drought followed by a pretty intense fire season that everyone experienced in 2019 and 20. But then, we burnt during the Duns Road fires and lost half of our pasture, and almost all of the conservation area burnt. So that was difficult, and then it was followed by a massive flood. What's quite interesting is, even though initially the repercussions of the fire were really, really awful, it's been really fantastic to watch the bush and the pasture change after the fires. So I think you have to find the bits that are fantastic outcomes out of drought and fire.
This is our grass-fed Dorper lamb, and the cut is a backstrap, and we're just cooking it on these beautiful coals that Chris has made, and we'll just slice it and just have it with some salads.
What I'd really like to see, and this is something that everyone can do, is to be much more conscious consumers, to know where their food comes from, to ask questions about how their food is produced, to think about eating locally and seasonally. The natural consequence of that is that the nutrition of the food is better. I think a greater awareness by consumers and a greater questioning of producers is one of the things that I'd like to see.